How many cameras do you have there?
A lot of in a single device.
A single device.
Ok, sì, ci siamo qui con Pepe Larraz, un grandissimo disegnatore. Sappiamo che dal 2014 ha iniziato a lavorare per la Marvel, è tra i disegnatori che diciamo ha partecipato a tantissimi di quelli che sono i progetti Marvel, ricordiamo Mighty Thor, Wolverine, X-Men, Ultimate Comics di Spider-Man. Ha preso parte ovviamente anche alla serie dedicata a Star Wars, in particolare disegnando la miniserie dedicata a Kanan, e oltre che una serie anche di cover variant per Darth Vader, il crossover che è stato fatto, Poe Dameron e Han Solo. So let's start with this brief little interview, and I just have some questions for you. We start from the beginning.
Okay.
Probably it's one of your most asked question to you. How do you discover your passion for drawing? And if you never had the idea and you never could imagine that in the future your art and your talent will be brought to production like Marvel or Star Wars?
Well, there is like a couple of stories about that. I used to think when I was a kid, I did a lot of modeling. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if the name is in Italian, plastilina.
Sì, plastilina.
Yeah, plastilina. I always had this kind of a ball of plastilina in my pocket, and I was always doing stuff. This is something that they gave us in the nursery school, so I have it. So at some point I realized that with the plastilina I can go only this far. Only can do figures, and I wanted to do other kind of stuff. So I started drawing, and I remember thinking about that. Okay, I cannot make this big thing with plastilina, so I have to draw. But then my mother told me quite recently that when we misbehave, she was locked in a room with a piece of paper and a pen, and I was like, maybe that explains something because I was a very bad kid. So yeah, this is these two stories.
Okay.
Between the deciding, okay, I need to do something bigger with paper, and I was a very bad kid, and they locked me in a room with paper. So I didn't get bored, but I said, okay,
Draw.
stay there for a while. Yeah.
And you could never imagine that in the future your talent can be brought in production like Star Wars, Marvel. It's just how the thing happened during your career.
Yeah, I mean, when they offer me the gig, because this is something they do. They send you an email with the offer. It's like, okay, we want you to do this. What do you think about doing that after what you're doing? And when they offered me that, it was amazing because there were only like 3 series going on of Star Wars or announced.
That's it,
was the Leia, I think it was Leia.
Yeah, Leia,
by
yes.
Terry
The new starting for Star Wars.
Darth Vader. It was Kieran Gillen and it was Salvador La Roca. I mean, we are talking about huge talent, of course.
Okay.
Jason Aaron and John Cassaday in Star Wars. So it was like, okay, this is something for the grown-ups. I was thinking that. They say, okay, this is something for the grown-ups. And you know, the proof to that is they didn't ask me for a variant cover of Star Wars, which everyone did.
Yeah.
It was like the 99 variant covers, and they never asked me for one because I was thinking, it's not my place yet.
Okay.
But suddenly they offered me Kanan, and I was like, what? Me? It's the kind of group you don't belong to. It was like, what?
Yeah.
At that point, it was 2014 when they offered me that. And I was like, of course I want to do that. It has very cool things about it. It was a Star Wars series, but it was based on the animation material.
Yeah.
So you can skip the most boring, horrible part of doing a Star Wars comic, which is doing the portraits.
Yeah.
Which is the reason why I rejected to be the cover artist of Star Wars when they offered me to, because I'm not very good at portraying, and they offered me the covers of the main series, and I said, no, I don't think I'm the one to do this. So it was quite cool because I didn't have to make some portraits, so I can design the kid.
Yeah, sure.
I can design Caleb from the scratch, and I can do my own versions of the 3D characters of the Rebel series, which was pretty nice. It was easy and nice, and I could make my own versions.
Okay.
And nobody bothered me with the style. It's like, okay, do whatever you want.
Okay.
And sometimes they are very picky with the references and that. And then we have the the downsides of working in Star Wars, which is reference have to be very, very precise. And Lucasfilm takes some time to answer things.
Yeah, to review and
and answer to things. So if you made a mess with the reference, you probably won't have an answer until 1 week, 2 weeks.
Before.
And sometimes you want to work faster, and they say we're reviewing things.
Maybe some later. Ok, abbiamo iniziato l'intervista chiedendogli sostanzialmente come è nata la sua passione, come lui ha scoperto la sua passione, e ci ha riferito che diciamo sono un paio di episodi che ha voluto sottolineare. Il primo è che lui era abituato a giocare con la plastilina, quindi aveva questa plastilina e spesso si divertiva, diciamo, a dargli una forma. Più tardi, diciamo, anche per fatto che era diciamo, un bambino un po' irrequieto, ha scoperto insomma la possibilità di disegnare, tant'è vero che i suoi genitori a un certo punto iniziavano a mettere in una stanza con una matita e un pezzo di carta per potergli permettere di disegnare. E a quel punto abbiamo chiesto come se avesse mai avuto idea che le sue produzioni, il suo talento potessero entrare a far parte di produzioni come Marvel e Star Wars, e lui ha detto che in realtà questo inizialmente era una cosa di cui lui aveva, soprattutto in Star Wars, un po' di preoccupazioni, perché ovviamente essendo un immaginario molto canonizzato era difficile, diciamo, sicuramente entrare e fare del bene. In particolare all'inizio gli hanno dato la possibilità di entrare subito con la miniserie di Kanan, che lui ha accolto con grande entusiasmo perché aveva già dei riferimenti, quindi si basava su materiale comunque basato su cartoni animati, quindi aveva dei riferimenti abbastanza chiari poi da seguire.
You're a superhero, man. How you did that?
I'm trying to resume in the best way possible.
I mean, you remember everything? What? I didn't know you were going to do that kind of translation. I'm going to make shorter sentences from now on. Okay, I don't want to kill you.
I'm trying to balancing the correct answer and just the idea that you're trying to transmit.
Oh, okay.
So, basing on the last thing that you said, it's really interesting, especially for a brand like Star Wars. You said that Star Wars have a lot of iconic reference that as a drawer you have to follow, you have to respect, also for waiting for the reply from Lucasfilm. You have a specific method of how you can try to balance the respecting of the reference, but also your creative freedom that is important for a product like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, the respect for the reference is something that has to do with the continuity of the series and the movies, and of course to the respect the original material. We have that in Marvel as well. I mean, but this is not just so strict like it is in Lucasfilm. Okay, they are very keepers of the original material. It's like, okay, you have to do this kind of blaster for this kind of time. So this is kind of the notes you can get. This blaster is not exactly for this period of the Clone Wars or whatever.
That's right.
So, but apart from that, I didn't feel like too much pressure against my creativity, because I decided to be very close to the original material. I bought the Jedi book, this kind of guide. And I watched video on YouTube of the forms of the lightsaber. Yeah. So when they say they make the form number 3, actually I can tell you that moment and the movements they are doing is the form number 3, because I studied that. Because I wanted to be correct, I wanted to be precise,
with the canon,
and I wanted that you can read the story and say, okay, it's a good story about a boy trying to fit in the world and is alone and has to grow up. But at the same time, if you wanted to have like fan vision of the book, like, okay, I want to check the references to see if it's correct, it was very rewarding for the reader saying, yeah, it's correct, you did it right. Yeah.
Gli abbiamo chiesto a questo punto, basandosi un pochettino su quella che ha introdotto la tematica del rispettare un pochettino i riferimenti, che ovviamente, come sappiamo, in un universo come Star Wars sono molto stringenti, e ci ha detto che in Star Wars i riferimenti sono ancora più, diciamo, stringenti rispetto a quanto magari non lo sono per la Marvel. In particolare anche, per esempio, gli vengono fatti studiare anche i tipi di blaster che magari sono banalmente inseriti all'interno dei disegni, dei fumetti, o per esempio anche le forme di combattimento. Quindi nel momento in cui magari gli è stato detto che quel particolare personaggio aveva la forma numero 3, lui ha disegnato esattamente le pose in quel modo. E dice, ovviamente questa cosa per lui anche, diciamo, non è stata particolarmente stressante come linea guida da seguire, e anzi paradossalmente dà anche un certo tipo di soddisfazione, perché permette poi, nel momento in cui viene disegnata una scena in cui il lettore può riconoscere corretta, avere la soddisfazione di avere il lettore che dice ok, io vedo quell'immagine, la riconosco perché effettivamente è corretta.
And this, for example, in the designs of the ships I did,
Yeah.
That's the problem. When you want to do a starship, but it has to be Star Wars. You have to analyze what is Star Wars, and because there is a lot of designs of a starship, and you see a starship from Galactica or from Star Trek, and they are not Star Wars. Star Wars is
a precise style.
It's very fixed style in the spaceships, but you had to figure out what it is.
Okay.
So what I did, it was like a Lego. I didn't make a Lego, but the mindset was like, okay, I'm gonna tear apart the existing spaceships, and I'm gonna build my own with all
the same parts
pieces,
and just
with the same pieces, because
differently.
If I'm using the same pieces, I'm gonna fit in that universe for sure. So when you see the spaceship of I don't remember things.
Okay.
That guy that picks up Caleb and takes him in the ship. You know the engines. They're like pods, racer, engines and everything. So I was trying to make like a mashup of things, so you feel that it belongs. Yeah, it looks like a Corellian Corvette with some pods and blah blah blah, and it belongs.
Ha aggiunto anche che, diciamo, in Star Wars, soprattutto anche per esempio la composizione delle astronavi è molto particolare, nel senso che nonostante sia la possibilità di creare, ovviamente c'è un preciso stile anche delle astronavi che ovviamente conosciamo bene, che è diverso anche dalle altre ambientazioni fantascientifiche. E in particolare lui si ricorda che nel momento in cui ha dovuto creare delle particolari astronavi per Kanan, una delle tecniche utilizzate è quella di prendere un pochettino i pezzi di astronavi, ovviamente sempre del canon, quindi un po' come se giocasse a Lego, scomporli per poi rimetterli insieme, perché era sicuro che in questo modo ovviamente il prodotto finale sarebbe stato perfettamente integrato all'interno del contesto. So part of this you already answered, but we would like to know more deeper. If you have never the opportunity inside the story that you draw for Star Wars to just make something new, so like the starship that you told before, but some also maybe some environment like planets or maybe some characters, and how do you move in this kind of creativity?
Yeah, I did. I remember one of the things I designed was the race of aliens named the Calerans.
Okay, yeah.
Which was one of the guys the guy that picked Kanan. I can't remember exactly the name, but he was from that race. So I designed these guys, kind of reptilian, but you know, it was very human shaped, because if you design an alien really not human shaped for Star Wars, it's gonna be awkward.
Okay.
It has to be a lot of time in the screen or in the panel, because it has to do things.
Yeah.
So in its legs, in its hands, and it's this kind of stuff. But at the same time, the silhouette has to be very different. So I try to imagine, you know, like this is a prosthetic.
Okay.
Yeah, designing like it was a prosthetic. Okay. It makes sense with Star Wars. And yeah, I had to design some planets, and I remember I had to make a scene of them in a planet called Megiddo, which shows up in the trilogy, in the prequels.
Yeah, in the prequels,
like 2 seconds.
Flashback. Yeah,
it's like 2 seconds, and it's a blur. And they say, "Okay, this is a place."
This is place.
Okay, so I watched those 3 seconds like a lot of times, trying to grab every detail on that. But it was quite complicated, because you don't have that much information, so you have to take that and try to build the rest of the scene from that. Yeah.
That's great. A questo punto ti abbiamo chiesto se c'è stato qualche altro momento in cui ha dovuto inventarsi qualcosa di nuovo, e lui ci ha ricordato in particolare un paio di occasioni. Il primo è quando ha dovuto, diciamo, disegnare sempre in Canon una corsa degli alieni, quindi anche la possibilità di disegnare gli alieni nuovi, che era una delle sue prime volte che lo faceva. Ovviamente non è così banale, soprattutto erano alieni che dovevano fare delle cose, quindi dovevano avere anche tutti i particolari disegnati in un certo modo, e quindi lui appunto si è cercato di creare un modello che poi potesse funzionare bene. Un altro episodio molto divertente è quando lui ha dovuto, diciamo, aumentare ricreare le ambientazioni del pianeta Migeto, che sostanzialmente vediamo ovviamente in episodio 3 per qualche secondo nel flashback, e lui ha dovuto, diciamo, espandere particolarmente l'ambientazione. Ed è stato molto, diciamo, sfidante, perché ovviamente guardare per 3 secondi una produzione e poi doverla replicare non è facile, però sicuramente è stato molto divertente. Okay, let's start with the last question.
Okay.
What would you like to explore more, maybe in the universe of Star Wars? So if you drawing Star Wars, you never imagine some new planets or something different that you would like, if you never had the opportunity in the future, we hope it, to put inside the story and the universe like Star Wars.
It's weird because when you are drawing a story, what you are focused is exactly in the story of the characters of the story you are telling, and the themes that the story is about. I mean, the develop of the characters and the conflict or whatever. But what attracted me in the first moment when I was a kid and I saw the Star Wars movie was the worlds they take you to, and every world was different, and you know the interstellar trips they did. So it was all these scenarios, all new worlds that really caught my imagination. You know, the designs of the ships and everything. So it was the things of Star Wars, the universe of Star Wars that caught my imagination. But when you are drawing a comic, you focus mainly on the characters, and those worlds. Of course, they are important and they are Star Wars, but you have to focus on trying to convey that kind of emotions to the readers.
Characters.
Yeah.
Ok, quindi abbiamo chiuso, insomma, con un'ultima domanda, chiedendogli se c'è qualcosa che avrebbe voluto o vorrebbe magari in qualche momento futuro disegnare per Star Wars, e sostanzialmente dice, Star Wars è un ambiente ovviamente particolare, è un contesto particolare in cui ovviamente loro possono viaggiare su vari pianeti, ma quello che nel momento in cui uno va a disegnare ovviamente una storia, lui è sempre stato comunque preso dall'attenzione del mondo di Star Wars, ma quello che poi su cui concentrarsi sono i personaggi, perché sono quelli che poi effettivamente vanno a svolgere l'azione. Poi, diciamo, tutto l'ambiente di contorno fa parte di Star Wars, e quindi i personaggi si devono muovere bene all'interno di questo.
Also, I had this idea of making a cantina band story.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Like you know, this kind of stories about the world of the jazz, when you have the genius, the jazz players, but also they are drug addicts and they have a lot of trouble. I wanted to do that with the cantina. just follow them
and imagine
the
tour of the
cantina band across planets, and they have problem with the justice, and suddenly they have to run with all the instruments. And I think, okay, man, this is a good story here, but they told me, not really.
E chiudiamo con questo aneddoto simpatico della possibilità che ha avuto volte in mente la possibilità di scrivere una storia riguardo i Cantina Band, quindi lui si immagina questa storia dei Cantina Band che vanno a girare, insomma, per i vari pianeti, e magari si trovano anche in delle disavventure, come appunto inseguiti dalla security. So, thank you so much, Pepe, for your availability.
Grazie a te.
And see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, bye.